Have you guys watched Peacemaker yet? Did we
Nope.
talk about that
No,
already?
no.
I don't
We've
think
talked
anybody's
about it on the
talked
show,
about it.
but we've talked about it. We've talked about it on the show, but nobody's actually watched it and
Yeah.
talked about it.
I've watched the whole thing, and it was
Don't.
all right. Shit, you say save it for the podcast. We're on the goddamn podcast.
Mm.
Okay, well, I guess that's it then. Well, fuck it then. Welcome to the All Pop No Culture podcast. I'm your host tonight, Pete. We are a pop culture. It's a little herky jerky. You know what? We're a pop culture centered podcast, mostly talking about streaming television and movies that you can
And
get
high
over the
school girls
interwebs.
lacrosse.
Yes. Oh, yeah. I'll give you. Yeah. I am joined tonight, obviously, there by Kevin, and Andy is with us, giving people motion sickness. Yeah. What were we talking about that forced me to start the show in such an
Peacemaker.
Peacemaker. Yes. So I guess we're just going to start with you then, Andy, because you watched Peacemaker this last week.
I did. I watched it kind of reluctantly. I wasn't really stoked about it at all. My brother said I needed to watch it, and I'm like, it wasn't doing anything for me. I wasn't excited to see it. I wasn't gonna watch it. But I watched the first 2 or 3 episodes, and I was hooked. It was actually really a fun watch. It was interesting. It was graphic. It was kind of hilarious in like a naughty way. I totally dug it a lot, and I think it's worth watching. It doesn't make sense. Like I was telling my brother, it DC's all over the fucking place. There's no common thread or theme. It's just a shotgun blast at best. I mean, not even that. I mean, it doesn't. That's not even. It's worse than that. There's no continuity in the cinematography or the themes or anything. But it was worth a watch. It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it immensely. John Cena, who I am not a huge fan of, really did a great job in his portrayal of the character and the shortcomings of the character. It was edgy because it was had a lot of racist themes in it. I mean, one of the main villains is literally a white devil. So it was interesting. Like, it was one of those movies or shows, I guess, that I was surprised it could be made today in today's woke society and not got a huge amount of backlash. As far as I'm aware, there's literally no backlash on the themes in the show, but it was fun. I dug it a lot. So I watched that. I would highly recommend it. It's definitely worth seeing. Started watching The Tourist, which is rad. Tons of fun.
Yeah, I need to watch that.
Yeah, it's super good. It is super good. I'm only like 4 or 5 episodes. I don't remember how many episodes I have to go back and check to see, but lots of fun, worth the watch for sure. You know what else I watched this week? It's with what's his name? Michael Pena. It's a Netflix movie. I don't remember the name of it. I'll look it up real quick.
Yeah, look it up on Netflix. Speaking of Peacemaker, I haven't watched it, but there's some great. So I've never really thought of John Cena as an actor, like really. I did like him in this Suicide Squad movie as Peacemaker.
Mm-hmm.
But there's some footage there. I guess I don't know if it's a interrogation scene or if his bosses are questioning him or something. And there's this scene in the show where he just kind of goes off on him. And it was entirely improvised by John Cena. So if you look it up, if you find the episode, the scene, and look it up, he goes on for like forever, and it's all shit that he just pulled out of his head. Like, and
Yeah.
it's actually kind of fantastic. And knowing that was a thing, it actually made me far more interested in the show and more impressed by John Cena at this point. Because the last thing that I remember seeing him in besides Suicide Squad was an old episode of Psych, where he plays the main girl's brother.
Yeah,
But he's not. Yeah, he's not a particularly great actor. But maybe I feel like maybe he's finding his way, and I think it's possible that James Gunn kind of works well with those guys too, because I wouldn't think that what's his name that plays Drax in Guardians is necessarily a great actor either. But I like him a lot in Guardians.
Well, Dave
I
Bautista,
think he developed under Gunn though.
Yeah, exactly.
I watched that what was it, Stuber?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think it is that he's in. It's like him and Kumail Nanjiani, wasn't it? Like I wound up watching that.
I watched it
a while ago. I
plane,
never brought it up on the show. Yeah, it was it wasn't bad, and Batista wasn't as bad as I thought he was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
but he was
Drax. I mean, he's perfect as Drax.
Dave was great in the Blade Runner sequel. He was
Dave, like know the motherfucker.
Yeah, he's my buddy. He's my bro. No, but Mr. Bautista, he was great in his character in the Blade Runner sequel. He was excellent in that. I actually have a hard time. What are you doing, Pete?
No, you're gone.
You're gone.
Lost your audio. I don't know what you were poking at, but it got all staticky and then you were out.
But while he's figuring his shit out, the movie that I'm talking about on Netflix was called Extinction, with Michael Pena. Totally worth watching.
Is that like an alien invasion kind of flick? A couple years ago,
2018.
Yeah,
that's what it looks like on the screen. It is not what it is.
But it ends. Isn't the last shot of them like on a train, like leaving a facility?
It is, but
yeah,
it's
okay,
not,
I saw that one. I don't remember it really well, but I saw it. It was okay. Yeah, I didn't hate it.
Yeah, it's AI, where Michael Pena and everybody on Earth thinks they're people, but really they're all AI, and they pushed humans off of the world when they became sentient, and humans fled to Mars, and then they came back to try to reclaim the Earth like 3 generations later. And all of the AIs had wiped their memories, so they didn't know that they were not human.
That's right.
But that was a really, I was pleasantly surprised watching that. How it was one of the, I haven't seen a movie in a while where I didn't figure it out in the first 15 minutes. Like it took until they showed on the screen what was going on that I figured it out. I thought it was an alien movie until then. So I really enjoyed that.
Because isn't it the humans are coming back again at this point?
Yeah, the humans came back from Mars to retake Earth.
Yeah, and so what we thought was aliens was humans, and the AI was It was. I remember watching it. I did see it. I remember being pretty well entertained by it. I like Michael Pena a lot. He's another guy that doesn't do enough, and he's, for whatever reason, he's just not a name. He's not a guy that will ever lead a movie. Like you're not really going to see a movie in the theaters where Michael Pena is the blockbuster name, right? But I love him in everything he's in. Like I've always loved Michael Pena.
Yeah, I mean, he was great in Fury. He was great in The Martian. I mean, when he played Paunch and Chips, I laughed my ass off. He was fucking great in that. He was good in 12 Strong. I mean, he's been good in damn near everything I've seen. I can't think of a movie where I've seen him. Although he was in Moonfall, and I haven't seen that, and that was a garbage movie. So maybe he was shitty in that. But
I would bet that he was fine and the movie was garbage.
Yeah, that's probably more true. That's probably very true. But yeah, I mean, even Shooter, he was good in Shooter. I mean, he's always good. Yeah, he's a good actor for sure. But yeah, that's the kind of stuff I've been watching. Of course, Lost as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I've been digging on. Pete, you get your shit figured out yet, buddy?
I don't know. Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
We got you.
All right then. Yeah, I guess I did. Somewhat, somehow, some way. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God, damn you,
Kevin, what have you been digging on?
Dude, I haven't watched shit. I've still been playing Horizon Forbidden West on the PlayStation 4. It would probably be better on the PlayStation 5 just because it's a better system, but the graphics on it are pretty incredible anyways. But it's a big game, dude. I've been playing it for I think 2 weeks now, whenever it released. I'm like 60 hours in, and I can probably finish the story pretty quickly at this point, like the main story. But there's all kinds of side quests and shit to go do, and so I've got a lot to do with that. But it's a really great continuation of the original game, which is one of my top 5 games ever. So it's cool. It's definitely cool. One thing that I really love about it that's just kind of personal is that my oldest son picked up the first Horizon game, and that's his favorite game of all time. So he's been itching to play this one, and he just hasn't got the chance because I haven't finished it yet. But he'll get to play it at some point too.
right on.
Yeah, and that's pretty cool. I started the first episode of the new season of Picard, but we've been kind of busy and haven't got around to really watching that.
I haven't watched that show yet.
Oh God, it's so good. I did watch the first episode.
The first season. The first season's great. I don't know if Q shows up in the first episode yet of the second season. Good. I'm glad. Like that when he popped on, or when they showed that he was going to be on this season, I lost it. Like, my wife is the bigger Next Generation fan for sure, but I did grow up watching Next Generation. Like I've seen every episode and seen all the movies. But Q is always my favorite character, which is funny because it feels like he was a much bigger presence in the series than he actually was. He was only in, I think, 3 episodes or 4 episodes of the original Next Generation series, but he's one of the most beloved characters of the show, and he's awesome.
Yeah, he comes in. I did watch the first episode of Picard. I forgot that I watched that, and I was a little hesitant because the other Star Trek show that's on Paramount Plus right now, I don't remember the
Discovery.
name of it. Yeah, I really enjoyed this the seasons up until now, and now it seems really rote. It seems like they got signed on.
And Andrew said the exact same thing like last week. He said the first season, 2 seasons maybe, were really good, and then it really fell off.
Well,
and
like,
I get that because
anytime there's an explosion now, that's the same fire things happen in the background. It's like it's not. It looks like it's the 5th season of a show that they got signed on for. They didn't really anticipate it. I don't know. It just doesn't. I'm not watching it anymore. I watched the first 2 or 3 episodes of the season. I'm like, it's not for me. But Picard, so I was a little hesitant to watch Picard because the first season was so good. But the first episode of season 2 was as good for sure as the whole first season. Good. And Q, if you like Q, I think he comes in dark.
Yeah, that's what that's all the marketing materials like. This is a different Q than you've seen before.
Yeah, but not just in his character, but visually, he's gritty.
Right.
And it's really good. I'm super looking forward to that.
I love him too because I've been to, was it 3 Star Trek conventions, I think. And hearing him talk is hilarious because he's so funny because he's known for 2 things. Everybody knows him, and I think we've talked about this before, but everybody knows him as Q, and everybody knows him as that little fucking dragon from My Little Pony. And he is amazed sometimes at the balance of people that recognize him from My Little Pony versus Star Trek. Even like there's more adult dudes that recognize him from My Little Pony than there is that recognize him from Star Trek. But he's hilarious. Like he's fun. He's a great actor, and I'm excited to watch what he does this season.
Yeah, I'm stoked.
Yeah,
I'm trying to remember his name.
John Delancey.
It's Delancey. That's what it was.
Yeah,
I remember the John part. I couldn't remember.
Yeah,
the
he's
Delancey.
no, he's great, and yeah, I'm stoked for the season of that. There was something else I just watched. I'm almost done with the first episode of the new season of Top Chef Houston. I love the Top Chef shows.
Ooh, is it? Wait, how far into the season are we? That's one we usually watch, but I think we've just
Top
had
Chef?
a lot going on.
The first episode just dropped, so
I gotta write that down.
So I don't think you're missing anything if you even if you wait a week.
Okay.
But I love that. I love that show. Like I watch those people and I'm
Hell
like, dude, like they're just so much better than I'll ever be. It's ridiculous. And
that show's had its fair of like fun personalities too.
Mhm.
Like I'm forgetting guy's name, but there was the I'm not your bitch, like back in season.
That was season 1. Yeah. Well, it's funny to look at the evolution of that show and it was a fast evolution, but the first season or maybe 2, they actually did the in-house drama too, right? Like they were all put up in the same place and they recorded them there. And that's where all that drama came from. And by the 3rd season, I think they weren't doing that anymore. Because there was a young kid, I think his name was Marcel, early on. That was really kind of a pompous little dick. And he kind of got actually assaulted in the house. Like I think they shaved his head or something like that. Like it was really out of control. And I think they
oh wow.
Yeah, I think after that they were like, yeah, we're not gonna do that anymore. Because you almost never see them outside of you never see them outside of the kitchen anymore, really. Like you see them for a little bit, but you don't see any interpersonal drama or this person hates this person at home or blah blah blah. They keep their differences in the kitchen on the show now.
I think that's one of the things that show has managed to capture, that like really only some of the the Iron Chef stuff, but like the original Japanese version of Iron Chef really captures is this way to build this like dramatic narrative around people creating dishes and like the different combinations of ingredients they use, and I fucked this up, the sauce is done, I forgot to do this, like all these things, and it creates a narrative like that through the competition that they don't bother pushing like interpersonal drama. And so like the producers don't egg it on, because I watch I'll I've said it before and I'll admit to it again, my wife and daughters really like those housewife shows, and so I've just kind of been indoctrinated into a few of them.
You don't have to say that, dude. You don't have to tell anybody that. Like you can just choose to not tell people that.
You can cut that out of the recording for sure.
Yeah, this is like it's the first step. I have to admit I have a problem. I chide against those shows as like they're like these horrible things, and they are, but there's this like mindless entertainment that's capable with them of just watching people argue. And what goes on behind the scene. I know about the little Franken bites, and I know how they edit these shows together to build the narrative for the drama. I get it. But you also know the producers push certain situations, and
for sure, and they reshoot stuff too. Like in the reality shows, they'll do reshoots and cover stuff. I have a little more class than that. I don't watch the housewife shows, but I will watch Love Island. But I prefer the UK version. No, not Temptation Island. Don't be stupid. Don't give me that shit. Love Island, British version. See those classy Brits? Love that shit. I'm excited for the next season. I don't give a shit.
But see, now I can't do like The Bachelor or The Bachelorette.
No, I've never watched one of those.
Like those.
Yeah, I've never watched Survivor. Like I've never watched a single episode of Survivor.
Survivor's also just like me. That's one of those me and my daughter things. Like we both
Yeah.
just. Oh no, I love Survivor.
She like watching
I'm so
plan how to
happy
get
that
rid
it's
of her
back.
dad on an island.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I never even gave that one a shot. Not like even in the beginning. Like I've seen one episode of Survivor. I don't remember it because I was at a party and it was on TV, and I'm a very introverted person and I had no desire to be there. So I literally in this
Gotcha.
party with people all around me, like talking and drinking and having fun, I was like, I guess I'll watch Survivor. It's like, and then never watched it again. So, but yeah, that I don't know what it is. I've never watched that. I tried one of the other ones, one of the competition ones, like The Amazing Race, maybe it was back in the day. But like I just never really got into those.
I've watched
Once Real World was over, I was kind of done.
Oh.
I was done with it. Road Rules and Real World were my reality shows. When I had my appendix taken out, I was 19, I think, and I remember the only thing on TV was the Road Rules Real World Challenge. Right, so they had like a face-off show, and when you're in the hospital and you get like 6 channels on cable, you watch what you can fucking find. But I loved that. Yeah.
Dude, I totally watched those.
Yeah.
Especially the old ones. They're so stupid because it's just young drunk kids in a house, and it's so not my demographic, but it's just the most ridiculous thing to watch. And then they have them do these ridiculous challenges. And this is the thing. It's got to be cheap to produce, and it's got to have a following because there's like 30 fucking seasons of it.
Yeah.
Like it is still being produced, and there are now people that have been on it for a long time, and they're people that aren't like famous for anything other than being on the challenge. Like well, here's one for you. Actually, one guy who's been on a lot of challenges, I think he might still be doing it, but like Johnny Bananas, this guy John something other. So he actually hosts like one of those like after like Saturday Night Live, how like NBC will have that show that's like after, and it's some D bag going around doing slice of life kind of things. And then he was on Worst Cooks in America.
Maybe that's where I remember from.
Which is another good one. That one's
actually it's not a good one though. It's so bad. Like Worst Cooks in America is terrible, but it's fun. No, it's fun.
The one you have to go back and watch if you only watch one season. And I pray. Oh, there we go. I pray that he comes back. If you go watch the season with Alton Brown, it is.
Yeah, I just swear I did. Because there's the Worst Cooks in America and there's the Celebrity Edition, right?
Exactly. So. Now, when it's Ann Burrell does her thing entirely, like they do their thing, and the people are like actually getting a little better when they get there. But that season, there is just a combination of this cast of characters that they have magically assembled and given to Alton Brown that it is just sublimely funny to watch Alton Brown. And if you've watch Alton Brown like Good Eats and Iron Chef, and Alton Brown, like he's kind of like a toned down Gordon Ramsay, but like very like snotty in a lot of ways to me, but just his food knowledge is amazing. And like him dealing with these just oddball people because they didn't find like just go watch it. It sounds so dumb, but even just that one season.
I feel like I did watch that one because I forget what, I don't know if it ended up on Hulu or something.
Mr. Brown.
But like over the summer usually is when we kind of run out of shit to watch, and we end up finding shows like that to really binge on, which is why Love Island's so perfect, because it does come out like in summer, right? Because it all takes place in a little villa in usually in Spain or something like that. But like that one is so easy to get sucked into because it's on every single day. Like Love Island is effectively live. It's like a day or two off, but it's done almost in real time, which makes it a little different than a lot of the other shows. I think Big Brother, I think, is one that was relatively close to real time, but it was only once a week. And Love
Yeah.
Island's every single day. Like it's every single day for like a month and a half. Like it's
That's
crazy.
Crazy.
Yeah, it really is. But I don't know how the fuck we started talking about Love Island and reality shows.
So reality. Speaking of reality
what
shows,
just
the other
happened.
reality show I've been like
Because
digging
I
on.
admitted to liking the Housewives. That's
Well, why did we go there?
That's
I know it's your
where,
fault, but I don't know why we got
oh,
there.
oh no, I totally do. I totally took us down this train.
Have you guys watched Love Is Blind at all?
No,
no.
because that's a dating show. I don't.
Yeah, I can't. I'm sorry. I can't. I can't sell myself on one of those to believe that any normal, legitimate person would be able to find a meaningful content like relationship in that situation under
Right.
those things. That's not like. I mean, I think a couple of them have lasted, and good for them. Like good on like Tristan Ryan, like way back from the beginning. Those names sound familiar associated with that show. I don't know. But there's no way that that's like fucking Survivor's bond. That's like Stockholm syndrome or something, where like two people who are just put in this extreme, situation get like just bonded together, and you confuse it with love. And let's be real, they're all incredibly attractive people.
Yeah, most of the time, yeah.
Like it's just it's silly. And to think that you would actually fall in love like that,
Yeah.
you're engaged, and yeah, it's just bad.
Yeah, it's crazy. I with God damn it, I'm still talking about it, with Love Island. There's like 6 or 7 seasons right now, and there's a few people that have made it. There's a few that have gotten married and had kids and made it. But yeah, for the most part, it's like your fame building option, right? You get on the show, and you get your name out there, and you get to be your 15 minutes of fame, and that's that.
Well, all those shows are like that. I mean, anybody who enters one of those shows thinking they're going to find love is a joke, right? They're all there. If they're not there to expand their brand in some way, shape, or form, or get their 15 minutes of fame, I mean, it's ridiculous, right? It's hard enough to find love at a bar, let alone find love at some contrived show where the people on the show are trying to have you do certain things. It's all stupid, but it is fun to watch.
Andy, hold on for a minute. I need you to do an experiment for me.
Okay.
I need you to take your phone and hold it, like film yourself from above like this, looking up at the camera. Now, it doesn't have to be that high. Bring it back a little closer. Yeah, like that. You know what, dude? Women are fucking right. That totally is the better angle to like take a selfie from and use like a phone camera from. Like that, you look.
I thought you were gonna be like, women are right. Drone footage is scary.
Yeah, no, you see, like look at that. But see, now bring it back down to that other angle that you had.
This is hideous.
Only, like this is for the show. Yeah, no, there, it's good.
I get my cheekbones right. You don't see my second chin. All the stuff. My dimples pop a little bit better.
Yeah, you look. You're ready for a handsome man.
Yeah. Good thing I don't give a fuck about how I look.
Yeah, we can tell.
Clearly.
Okay.
Clearly.
But yeah, so Pete, I feel like I've been watching something else, but I don't know what the fuck it was. Now that we've gone so far off tangent, but I really haven't. I've been playing video games, so there's a better than zero chance I haven't watched shit.
I broke the show.
Yeah, there's a couple of shows that I want to watch that I'm hopefully going to watch this week. The Tourist is one. There's a new one with Toni Collette. I think it's called Pieces of Her. That's on HBO. It looks kind of interesting. Okay. And I swear there's one more. Oh, and before we switch off, there's been trailers for the new Sandra Bullock movie.
Which one is
Sandra Bullock and Brad Pitt and Channing Tatum. It
That
looks
Oh
like
movie is
the
yeah,
fucking
it looks like the
hilarious,
new
bro.
Romancing the Stone,
Romancing the
right?
Stone. I thought the
100%,
same thing, bro.
100%.
And
I saw that. Oh, I saw that in the theaters last night. They had a preview in
yeah,
the theaters. I said out loud, "Romance from the Stone," and my son's like,
yeah,
"What's that?" I'm
Yeah.
like,
yeah.
"Shut the fuck up."
What's Romancing the Stone? That movie.
Yeah,
Yeah.
basically. But I was like, God, I really wish it was on streaming because I will not spend money to see that in the theater. But if it
No,
was
that was
streaming,
my exact thing.
I would watch it tonight. Like I'd be watching it right away.
I'd actually I'd pay for it too at home. Like that's one that I'd be like, yeah, I'll pay $20 for that at home.
I wouldn't pay 20
I don't
bucks
mind.
for it at
Like,
home because I'd be watching
well,
it by
no,
myself. I wouldn't pay more for myself than I would
oh
for a ticket.
no. See,
Um,
I've shown like we'll go through sometimes and just watch trailers
mhm.
on Apple TV and
Oh
on
yeah,
YouTube and stuff. And so, like, my daughters have seen the trailer to that movie, and they're both just like, "Oh, that looks like a goofy, stupid romantic comedy." The trailer is so perfect.
it's
Yeah.
Like,
great. Like
Brad Pitt's arrival, like it
yeah,
just
Daniel Radcliffe with his like fucking
yes.
punchy, like so cheesy villain lines are so great. It really looks like fun. Like I said, I wouldn't go see it in the theater, and I don't expect it to
No,
necessarily be good, but I think it will be fun. I think like everything about it looks fun. Um, so
All
I want
those
to see
rom
that.
coms are just that. I mean, when's the last time you saw like a good rom com? Rom coms are just fun. Like,
Uh,
what's the last really good rom com
Failure to
that you'd go?
Launch. I love Failure to Launch.
That's pretty good.
How to Lose a Guy
But
in
that's
10
still
Days.
see,
okay.
this is you know what? No, this is gonna. I've always threatened to do it.
Keep your
I think
pants
we
on, dude.
tried it once, didn't we? No, we need to do a rom com episode.
Yeah,
Mm.
we should do it. I'm in.
We can. You got to do it when you can get at least one female guest, so we don't look
Oh,
like
for sure.
complete assholes.
Get Leota in here. Well, she's not necessarily a female. I mean, she's
Jen?
got the
Yeah,
parts. Yeah, she's got the parts, but she's more crass than Pete.
we've discussed her parts so many times. I don't think we need to have them on the show.
That's a different show.
Yeah, yeah.
Different circumstances.
That's when we talk about failed porn stars. It's great, and we can make all the great jokes, but she won't listen to this, so it doesn't even matter.
I know.
Okay? I need to make my comments for her in a forum where she'll see
exactly. It just sounds like we're like bashing this poor woman because almost no one who listens to this show is going to have a reference to Jen. I know there's a few people out there who know Jen who if not listen, at least subscribe. So that this is completely lost on everyone. It just sounds like we're talking shit about this girl. It's like, no, there's a
I mean, we are, but she earned it.
but there's like a
and she would throw it back.
this.
Yeah.
She'd agree for most of the part.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Oh God.
So,
yeah.
Pete, what have you been watching?
I've been racking my brain to completely go back over what I watched because I've watched a lot of stuff just kind of fading in and out. I've been holding on to. I actually watched it last week, but I'll talk about it now. I watched The Kingsman.
Oh, I saw that too.
I thought it was good. I actually thought in some ways, I don't want to say better, but it was a little more grounded than the other two movies. And I like the other two movies. Well, the first one. The second one was a little over the top. A little more over the top than the first one. But they were fun action movies. And Taron Egerton was completely charming in it. And Colin Firth was amazing. And, they're just good. This one, different. But it was the same spirit, but it wasn't as like I don't want to say modern because that doesn't make it. That's of course it wasn't modern. The new ones take place right now. The other ones takes place during World War One. It didn't have a modern feel. Like they didn't try to give it a modern feel. Like some of the action scenes did have, like the modern pacing and choreography to them, and it was a little more, martial artsy when they fought. But it wasn't. It didn't feel like they were trying to do a period piece updated. Like it was still incredibly the 1930s or the 1910s, 1920s.
Yeah.
So I think it's really, really well done. It's fun, it's believable, it's great. If you like the first two movies, this is a fun little addition to give you the history of how the Kingsman, came about,
Yeah.
and the tailor shop and just the whole deal. It's this kind of movie for me was along Andy's line of fun. Like, it was just a fun movie, because
I
I
totally
guess
agree.
because I enjoyed the first two. It's not a, I will say, I don't think you'll enjoy this movie as much if you haven't seen at least the first Kingsman,
I agree.
because it doesn't have the impact of like, this is where this started,
No,
that the other one then does. Like, you should see one of the other ones first and then watch this one. But yeah, it's just a good movie. It was fun.
yeah, I would agree with that. And you brought up what's his name, Taron.
Aaron Edgerton.
Yeah.
Edgerton.
Have you seen his Instagram post lately? He's getting hugely ripped. He's putting on the pounds and the muscles, and it kind of makes me think whether we'll see him next month in Multiverse of Madness as Wolverine. I still don't know.
Yeah,
He's still not my pick, but
I like him though. My wife pulled up this stream of like actors, and it was all the actors that could play, have been speculated over the last few years to play Wolverine. And like Sawyer from Lost is on the list. Like, there's all kinds of people on this list, and I was like,
too tall.
he's
way too tall.
But but it doesn't matter. You can't.
I know.
I would love for them to do that, right? But unless they
It's
cast
the
Scott
first time-
Conn, you can't fucking do Wolverine the size that he is. Like, it's just like, unless Scott Conn plays Wolverine, you're out of guys.
Then let's do it. Let's just fucking do it, and let Scott Conn be Wolverine. He's got the attitude. Bob.
Yeah, I could actually see.
I love Scott
I think
Conn
he's
on
too old.
Entourage. I'm sorry, he was the fucking most.
I actually
amazing
love
dick
Scott Conn,
ever.
but I wouldn't cast him as
No.
Wolverine.
He's
But
too old.
well, the biggest thing with Wolverine, I think I said it on another show, is when you cast it, you need him to be, the actor needs to be somebody that's basically not going to age for 10 years.
Yep, for sure.
Because
Taron Egerton.
yeah,
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that like Scott Eastwood. There's a lot of shots of him that I see, and I'm like, yeah, he looks just like Wolverine. Like, he'd be great, but I don't know if he's really the guy.
And he won't, if he's anything like his dad. He's not. I mean, Clint Eastwood still looks like he's in his 70s, and he's
150.
damn near 90. Scott Eastwood would age appropriately, but Taron looks good, and the pictures that I've seen him recently, I would put him as a strong contender, maybe even over Scott at this point for me.
I still say that I think me and Andrew have laughed about it, but I still think, like, I would totally buy Daniel Radcliffe as Wolverine too, if they really, if they put the work into it. I think it would work. It's out there, but he doesn't have to be. Have you ever seen the one where he's like stuck on an island?
Another franchise.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I think he could do anything, because I thought Kit Harington wouldn't do a franchise like that after how hard he took Game of Thrones. But here he is in the MCU. Knight. So yeah. So Marvel can talk anybody into anything, I think, at this point.
True. Well, also, if you're gonna do it, if it's gonna be in a movie, it's gonna be less of a time commitment than doing a TV show.
That's true.
Ways, because the movies are,
But it was. I don't think it was
other projects in there.
What was hard for Kit Harington was like the fan backlash and stuff over the last season. He really struggled with that. Like, he institutionalized himself for a little bit. Like, he took it really hard the way that the last season went, and part of it was the show just ending too. Like, he was really depressed about the show ending. And then we've talked about it ad nauseum, but the last season of that show was not good, and so he didn't take that very well. But
his wife could pull off Jean Grey.
Maybe. She's a little too crazy for Jean. We see, like, I know that the Phoenix is crazy, but like Jean is like the mom of the group, right? Like she's a little more chill than. What was that sound?
Oh, Emma Stone.
And she's too cute for Jean Grey.
Yeah,
Like she's
too
like
gritty enough.
Sweet.
Yeah,
Like Jean Grey has to be a little bitchy. Like Famke Janssen was fucking amazing. Like
yeah,
Famke
Oh,
Janssen
she
was my
perfect.
20-something-year-old crush, man. She's gorgeous.
And I liked what's her bucket, Sophie Turner.
She's okay.
She was okay. I think this is the problem. Like you said, it depends on. It's all going to depend on at what age they decide to bring the mutants in to the MCU. Are we going to see a genesis of
I don't think they can afford to do that. I don't think they can make them young. Yeah, I think you're going to dive in with maybe they're not established, maybe they're getting established. Like the first X-Men movie, kind of bringing them together. But I don't think you can start off with like a fucking 19-year-old Scott Summers, right? Like it's just, you're going to need him to be a leader, not a kid, if you're going to do the X-Men.
So it'll be more like the first X-Men series.
Yeah, I really honestly I wish they would do the X-Men like they did the Avengers.
School.
Yeah, I would rather see them come together. But like even in the comics, like Scott wasn't particularly young by the time the X-Men comics were coming together, and they were coming together as the X-Men. Like he'd been out there, but when you talk about the younger ones, you do like the New Mutants and do stuff like that.
Well, I actually do think that in the Multiverse of Madness, clearly we're going to have mutants introduced in some way, shape, or form, at least with Patrick Stewart, right, being Professor X, potentially as part of the Illuminati. But I have a feeling that Kevin is going to keep those universes separate but aligned, where with American Ferrera, we have access to all the universes whenever we require.
You mean America Chavez? America Ferrera is Ugly Betty.
Yep. Sorry. My bad. You knew what I meant.
I did.
I have a feeling that it would make more sense.
No, I'm sorry, I don't. I'm gonna fucking throw down my nerd card there and go. I don't know who who?
America Chavez. She's a young teenager. She's gonna be in the Multiverse of Madness. Her powers in the comic books is she can like literally kick open doors to other realities.
Yes.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So I have a feeling that the X-Men will live in their own. To me, for it to make the most, I don't know. In Kevin, I trust, right?
Right. But, whatever he does, I believe in. That's for sure.
Right. To dump mutants suddenly into the time stream, man, that's going to be a feat that I can't envision. I don't know how they would do that to have it make sense and have it be believable. To me, it makes more sense to leave them in their own time stream, in their own, multiverse, and have them participate when required.
Yeah, I think it all depends on how this movie ends, right? Like if they start smashing realities back together at the end, they can do whatever they want.
Yeah. This is my deal with this. I'm sorry, I'm like some sort of cult convert or something. I'm completely putting myself in that man's hands and saying, just let this unfold, because I look back and I see it how much Endgame, watching that movie, still like emotionally affects me, and going back and watching these Marvel movies from time to time, and you realize the depth that you went through over 10 years of watching these come out and watching these stories by different directors all slide together and fit together to create this beautiful universe. After doing that, have at it, bro. I don't know.
I really do.
I love speculating as to how they're going to do it, but honestly, I'm not worried about it at all. I don't think it's going to be some ham-fisted like here and like shove it in. Like it will make sense. They will make something that works. and make sense for
Yeah.
the, what if
Yeah,
we
it's
find
just
out that we're actually
yeah.
not on Earth Prime?
Wow.
We're like on 140 right now, and then all of a sudden,
Earth Prime is DC though. We're
you know what I mean?
Earth 66 or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
139 or whatever it is. Anyway, who knows? And I'm so excited for that movie. Just because I love Benedict Cumberbatch as Doctor Strange.
He's great. He's great. I don't think he's had enough opportunities to be Strange, so that's cool. Another thing that came out this last week is that Elizabeth Olsen signed a 7-year contract extension with Marvel.
Yes.
So she's here. Like, she's gonna be around for a while. And another thing that I saw that was just a rumor, may or may not be true, is that her sister Ashley is going to play a variant of the Scarlet Witch, or of
That's
of
awesome.
Wanda. Yeah.
I'm really, this movie is going to be very interesting because we've gotten so many little pieces between Loki and the other movies, and
And even What If?
exactly.
It's going to be so delicious.
Yeah, it's going to be the real, I don't want to say the pivotal one, but it is going to kind of be the game changer. This will be the one that breaks apart or breaks open, if you will, where it's going. And I also think, and again, it's because I was the only one in the house that watched it, so randomly one evening the family watched it. I think within, not this movie, I think 2 more Marvel movies, the next 2 movies, I'm predicting that after those 2, whatever they are, I forget what they are in the role, the Eternals is going to come back, and it's all going to be a bigger payoff than people think it was.
Oh, for sure.
The Eternals the Eternals is 100% Age of Ultron, where we all watched that and we're like, why did we have this movie? But I watch Age of Ultron now, and that's a pivotal movie. It is such a good movie, and there's so much that is earned through that movie in subsequent releases that it didn't make. I enjoyed it then, but it was like I said, it was like a fun movie. It's like, okay, it's a good Marvel movie, but I didn't understand what it meant. And now, I mean, it fed through Endgame. It feeds through now. It is such an important movie now, and I think Eternals is going to be that way. And I still don't know that they won't be the big bads at some point. There's a good possibility that they're the big bads at the end.
I feel like they're at least for the next few years building up Scarlet Witch for that. And because if you watch her just grow until where she is now, like every appearance she makes, she's more and more and more powerful. And if you look at how powerful she was in the comics, she's legit. Like, she's a big deal, and she's been a villain, she's been a good guy, she's been everything in between. So I would not be surprised if they build her up to be a big bad. I also, knowing Feige, wouldn't be surprised if they didn't, right?
She could put Jean Grey's dick in the dirt pretty easily.
She had literally snapped Jean Grey out of existence. So
yeah,
she did the whole House of M, no more mutants, and that was that.
Yeah. It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah,
I can't wait. And really, I know that we all we're such nerds. There's so much. I'm such a fan of all the casting of the most recent, all the X-Men movies. Actually, I think all the casting's been really top shelf from the start, and I imagine there'll be some crossover. But I'm looking forward to when Kevin decides who these actors are going to be for the X-Men. And there's rumors that Nightcrawler will actually be the Nightcrawler from Days of Future Past, and that, in First Class. But I hope that there are some recasting of some of those characters. Not that I didn't like them, but I'm just curious to see what Kevin does with those characters, and what characters. I mean, I miss Colossus. Colossus is in the comics. He is as pivotal as Cyclops. I mean, he is one of the main characters, and he really hasn't been portrayed, in my opinion.
Deadpool.
Well, yeah, but he was okay in Deadpool, but that wasn't the Colossus that I'm aware of from the comic books. I mean, that wasn't Colossus. Colossus, I don't know. God, there's so much.
It was the character they could get. Is actually what he was in Deadpool. So it was the license they could get to play with, because there's the whole scene where they show up the X-Mansion and nobody's there, right? It's just the two of them.
But we've just
Negasonic
barely
Teenage
scratched
Warhead.
the surface. Yeah, we've just scratched the surface when it comes to the X-Men in the MCU. I mean, even in general, in the X-Men that we've seen in any theatrical property, it's just scratched the surface. It's just barely scratched.
There's so much that they can do. I don't know what they're going to pull from, because of course you've got Magneto, but you have the Hellfire Club. There's so much tied into X-Men, but they've been building up the X-Men for a long time. They started introducing locations from the X-Men back in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. The seeds are there for them to do whatever they want. So it'll be interesting to see. Like you said, I can guess all I want, but when Kevin Feige puts pen to paper and tells his underlings what to do, I have faith it's going to turn out all right. So
it's going to be incredible. I can't even imagine it. I can't. That's actually I can't imagine it, and that's the best part about Kevin is I go into these movies, and I mean I've seen all the previews for the Multiverse of Madness, and I still can't imagine what he's going to do.
I have no idea what that's even about. I think it's going to be cool.
It's going to be amazing.
In theory, with some of the original X-Men, you could actually establish that they were already in existence if you fiddled with an Xavier School for the gifted kind of assemblage and timeline, and if you take the most recent ones and just say, okay, that was its own universe, if you will, and you could just say that that mutants were out there, but that no one helped during the Chitauri invasion. Well, nobody really noticed that anybody did, and maybe mutations are really just coming about now.
Well, it could be too that they were still learning too, right? Like if they were just establishing themselves then, they wouldn't have been ready to fight that fight.
And there's going to be some old SHIELD and U.S. government project that's going to have some mutants somewhere. You could easily then throw the Canadians had the Weapon X project going on, and none of them.
That's the thing too. It's almost disappointing that they covered that in the old X-Men movies, because I think that means they won't do them in the MCU. But man, if a real Weapon X movie was made, that would kick ass.
Like a rated R Weapon X.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at what Logan did, Logan was fucking pretty damn close to perfection for
amazing movie. Oh my god!
For me, as far as X-Men films go, that's the closest to an MCU movie that universe ever got.
Yeah,
right.
The characters,
there was heart and all
the
that.
The texture, everything, even the way it was filmed, was very MCU, gritty, down to earth, people driven. Even the fact that Wolverine was not so bulletproof, so to speak, and that Patrick Stewart.
It's the Old Man Logan storyline, right?
Sort of.
It is
sort of. I mean, Old Man Logan gets a lot crazier. I never read
that comic, so I don't.
Old Man Logan is interesting in itself. He fights the Hulk, who is has created an inbred army and all kinds of weird shit. So Old Man Logan goes weird in the comics.
I'm really curious about Moon Knight too. What that way more. Now we're bringing more mystical stuff in. We have, now we have Doctor Strange, we have Scarlet Witch, we have Moon Knight. We're gonna have the
Black Knight.
Black Knight. We'll have Blade. We'll have Morbius, depending on how he fits in the universe. Now we have all of these more supernatural elements, not super powered, but supernatural elements that come into play. Which,
well, Moon Knight in terms of the MCU is going to be really interesting, because in the comics, there's always been this idea that maybe he's just fucking crazy, like, because he's got multiple personalities, he's dealing with all this shit. Like, he's also just a crazy guy. And so you can, knowing, Kevin Feige and all the stuff that the MCU can do, he can get his powers in any way that isn't necessarily really from the god Khonshu, right? Like, it could just be in his head. And I think just from some of the trailers and stuff, I think they're really going to lean into the mental health storyline as much as they lean into the, new Egyptian god storyline, right?
And is there a better actor to play that than Poe? I mean, really, he is such
we'll find
a dynamic actor.
He's great. If you ever saw, what's the one where he creates the AI? He's got the girl. She's
Ex Machina. I just watched that too. I watched that 2 weeks ago, and that is a great example of somebody who's playing two faces. He has one face that's to the, what's his name, the guy also from Rogue One, or not Rogue One, but from the Star Wars series, and then he has a total second face that he is playing on. He's playing dual personalities in that movie too, although on purpose, not because he's crazy. Yeah, he's a fine actor.
I like him a lot. I'm glad to see him in the MCU.
He's yeah, I am too. He's really a great actor. They're all so good. Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy the amount of talent that is drawn. And I would say at this point, I would say 5 years ago, actors were drawn to this for the compensation standpoint, because they're just blockbusters and they're going to make tons of cash. But I think now actors are drawn to it. I mean, if we look at who's the what's his name from Singles, and he's in Moon Knight, the big time actor.
Ethan Hawke.
Ethan Hawke. I'm seeing these actors that are even Christian Bale, really. I mean, I know he was in DC, but we're seeing these top shelf actors, Angelina Jolie, Ethan Hawke, Christian Bale, take these roles in the MCU. They don't. Let's be honest. They don't need the money. They're not doing this for the check. They're doing this for the content at this point. 5 years ago, people were joining the MCU probably more for the paycheck than anything else. But now I think actors are joining it for the content. And that's only going to increase the value of these movies, because they're going to be so much better done with a higher caliber of actor. Not that the actors before were lower caliber, because I think Kevin, again, he picked the actors that were going to pull it off, and they did a great job. But Elizabeth Olsen as Scarlet Witch. I mean, what was she in before that was of any value, really?
Yeah, she wasn't in much. What? She's been around a bit, but yeah, she wasn't a big deal. I think Godzilla, was maybe before.
Yeah, she was in
maybe before Age of Ultron.
No, she was with Pietro. Yeah. But before that, there was hardly anything, right? So I think 5 years ago or 8 years ago, whatever you want to call it, people were joining it for the paycheck, and now I think people are joining it for the content, which is only going to produce better content when you have higher caliber actors, but you have the same person steering the ship. I mean, it's just it was already a juggernaut, and now I don't even know. It's a bigger juggernaut. Peter, what are you doing?
No, sorry. I went down one of those holes. I was pulling up. I thought what I was pulling up was the cast of Moon Knight on the IMDb landing page, but it actually it's a list of like upcoming superhero movies and series, and like it's like a list of 46 of them. And
Damn.
it's we should just, I think we're just going to go through all of these real quick since we're in this vein, and then we'll talk about the there's so much to talk about with that. Okay, so the Batman's been released there. So this just released. This is a good one that's up in a list here. We've got on Prime, it just got released yesterday. The Boys presents Diabolical. It's a cartoon series based in the universe of The Boys. 8-episode anthology, and it's the same cast, with Seth Rogen, Jason Isaacs, Kumail Nanjiani, Awkwafina, Kieran Culkin, Christian Slater, Giancarlo Esposito, Andy Samberg, and more providing guests. So I think that's a watch if you're a Boys fan.
Yeah, I think so
I'll
too.
probably watch that. And then Moon Knight is not that far away, man. That's the end of this month. It's March 30th.
Yeah. It's.
Oh, is it really March? I thought it was May.
Yeah.
No.
It's
this month.
That comes to us, and then Morbius hits us April 1st.
I don't care about that one.
Day. That's a joke. Yeah, I am probably not going to go see that one in the theater. Like I didn't see Batman tonight, like as a recording, but I'm probably not going to see that in the theater. I'll wait till that comes home.
Yeah,
I will see.
Depends on the reviews too.
I will see Morbius in the theater 100%. I'm really looking forward to that, and the fact that they. So I do think that there's a financial part where they've held off releasing it for so long, but there's a part of me that thinks that there's a reason why they held off for releasing it for so long, because of how it ties into the rest of the universe. I think it will be a must watch.
I don't even feel like it does though. It's a Sony property, and all that Spider-Man No Way Home gave us is the fact that these other Spider-Men still exist. So when you see Morbius and you see the Spider-Man pictures in the background, just because they look like Tom Holland Spider-Man doesn't mean they have to be. He can still be Andrew, totally, or he can still be Toby, and it doesn't have to tie back into the MCU at all.
It does.
I don't know that it will.
Because Michael Keaton's in it, the Vulture's in it. It does give more credence that it is more Tom Holland.
That's true.
But it doesn't mean that. It doesn't mean that that's not a variant.
Hold on. That's exactly. We don't know.
Yeah.
If that's the Vulture, we just know that's some dude in police custody.
Yes. And
everybody just said it's the Vulture. Marvel. See, here's the thing. Even though it's a Sony project, Marvel itself is still involved with it, and Marvel Studios is still involved to some degree. Yeah. Right. And I believe Sony is keeping a hold of the Spider-Man property for the money. They're not just going to sell it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Marvel. But I think they're happy with the money they're making. And I think the collab between the two, I think what's his bucket, that little shit, is being very cagey. Tom Holland. I think Andrew there's all sorts of possibilities that have been opened up, and the multiverse, and so everybody's guessing this and doing that. And dude, those people are so fucking good at what they do, with what they release and what they don't and what they tell us. I'll say it right here, right now, whatever the date is, March, whatever it is, in May, on May 6th, that Friday, we are not going to see Tom Cruise's Iron Man.
I disagree.
I think that
is I hope not. I hope not.
Bullshit story that has been thrown out there to just make people like sizzle something, and it's total misinformation. And if I'm wrong, good on me. It's like a fun little surprise. I think it's total and complete bullshit. I don't think Feige would do that. I really, really don't. I think in some ways, I think you can pull together certain universes and do things without actually involving an alternate Tony Stark from another universe or a different timeline, or however you want to call it. I do think, and again, this is what I was talking about with having like 10 years of my life and like the emotional attachments of, seeing it opening, every Marvel movie opening day with my daughter, as she's grown up now. And now that she's kind of going off and doing it with her friends, the younger one is now, going to these movies with me, and I'm taking her to see them as she's getting older. there is, I will say, there is that factor to it, but it's that 10-year commitment that I look at this and I'm like, I don't think they would kind of tread on the RDJ Tony Stark like that. There is a like hallowed bit of kind of respect for Iron Man and Tony Stark. I mean,
Pete, I agree with you 100%.
like,
here's my counter argument to that, though. If you have a Tom Cruise pulling off an Iron Man, it allows the expansion of the universe to other actors playing. It allows.
Wrong. Move on, Kevin. What do you think?
I just don't see a point. I don't think Tom Cruise is actually a high caliber actor. Number one, I think he has made the right movies for his entire career, but he's not a great actor. And I like him. I like all his movies. But I think if he showed up, I would actually be disappointed if he showed up in this movie.
Yeah, I wouldn't be disappointed or excited. I would just be. I do think there needs to be a continued Iron Man, and not an Iron Heart, but an Iron Man continuing in the universe in some way, shape, or form.
Oh, I don't see that happening at all. Yeah.
Oh, it's a struggle, but he's a footprint in the universe, and to have it just be.
But if you replace him in any way with another Iron Man, especially right now, all you're doing is wiping out everything that mattered in the last 10 years with Iron Man. Like, just be like he's replaceable, or to have a new Iron Man.
I don't want him replaced, but if there was, regardless of the actor, if there was an Iron Man in this movie that was not RDJ, but didn't play a prominent role, I'd be okay with that. And then if that actor then became a more prominent role in an Illuminati role in 2 years from now, I'd be okay with that too. But the problem with Tom Cruise doing that is that he's older than fucking Robert Downey Jr. So
yeah,
even though Tom Cruise still looks like he's my age or younger, for Christ's sake, he's too old of an actor, I think, to continue to play that type of character in 2, 3, 5 years from now. So that's the part. I wouldn't be disappointed or happy that it was Tom Cruise in Multiverse of Madness, but I do think there will be some Iron Man, some supreme Iron Man, whoever actor plays that movie, that character. I think that will happen. It makes sense for it to happen, I guess I should say. But not in a prominent role.
I don't think we're going to get like a replacement Iron Man per se. I think the Iron Man periphery are just going to kind of show up here and there. Like we'll get a little War Machine action.
Well, War Machine's getting his whole series.
Well, exactly. You know what I'm saying? And then you got I think Pepper's going to show up as a surprise guest somewhere at some point.
That one's weird, just only because it's Gwyneth Paltrow, and that girl is not a duck.
I'm not. Hey, look. So, I know.
She's killed 11% of all of the MCU villains. I saw a TikTok. She's killed 11% of all the MCU villains. She killed in Iron Man 2.
I saw it on TikTok.
Of course, but she killed. Let's see here. I don't remember the TikTok now, but she killed what's his name, AIM guy in Iron Man 2 or 3, whichever one it was. She's killed three. She's killed 3 of the MCU villains in her career, and that constitutes 11% of all of the villains in the MCU. So she's kind of a badass.
Nice.
It's like the equivalent of the villain falling down the stairs and breaking their neck.
Right. Well, let's see. Then we've got kids might want to go. I know I'll probably wind up taking the younger one to this one. And May 20th, the DC League of Super Pets is showing up in theaters.
It's got a great cast to it, but I'm not gonna say.
It's Kate McKinnon, John Krasinski, Natasha Lyonne, Diego Luna, Keanu Reeves.
It's got a really fun cast, and if it shows up on HBO Max, maybe I'll catch it, but probably not.
I would
couldn't
pay
me
dual
to see that
release. You don't have a kid still in that sweet spot. I got a kid who's turning 10 in April, so this is right up there her alley with that. Like, she'd get a kick out of this, but she has no idea who those people are. But then June 3rd, we've got The Boys season 3 premiere.
Mm-hmm.
Eric Kripke said there's a lot of craziness coming through, a slew of new characters, and there's Jensen Ackles from Supernatural
as Soldier Boy.
And there's a picture of him. He looks
good.
I can't wait for that show to come back. Like, I talked about it a couple of shows ago. I've just so recently watched it that it'll be nice to get this, like, right then.
Season 2 is worth watching. I did not watch season 2.
Fuck yes.
Oh yeah, season 2 is great. Yeah, for sure.
Fuck yes, it is. Season 2 is the shit, bro.
All right. I'll watch it. I'll add it to my list.
Oh, it's definitely worth watching.
I really enjoyed season 1, like, a ton. It was awesome. But I didn't bring myself to watch season 2 because I just thought it couldn't live up to the hype.
No, it's really, really good. Like, season 2 I don't want to say it just kept getting better, like, as the whole show ran through, because it's just like any series. It had little down moments that you were just kind of like, all right, this is, the Deep's storyline has been very interesting, and where that all winds up going gets very, very odd. And in cool in a way, and it's like, at first, like, when it's getting pitched through, you're like, what are they doing with him? Like, what? But it's totally worth it. Go and watch it. It's good. I'm excited for that. That'll be really cool. And then already, and it's not that far away, because we're already, I know we're only a couple of days into March, but let's realize this is only a couple of months off here. Thor: Love and Thunder is expected Friday, July 8th.
Yeah. I'm
gonna have
on board for that.
A little bit of Guardians of the Galaxy crossover. There's always the rumor of the reunion. Well, we know it's going to happen at some point because she's announced as cast, so we know we'll see her. But Natalie Portman.
Oh no, she's late. She's Thor. Like, she is taking over. Well, not long term necessarily, but in that film, she takes the mantle of Thor. Like, she is Thor. Like, that is confirmed. Yeah,
but we don't know if she's Thor from another universe, because the hammer's gone, so she's gonna pick up Stormbreaker.
No, but the hammer doesn't have to be gone either.
I agree.
Yeah, they can be reforged. There's a few things they could do with that, because I think at this point the forge is back up and running.
Oh wait, no, that's right. He had to return the hammer because he. I always forget that.
Cap brought it back.
Yeah. That's right. Oh, I knew it. It's fucking lovely. And then here we go.
That's my favorite MCU moment of the whole fucking decade of films. Is when Cap gets the hammer. That was my moment right there.
I knew it.
That was good. Fucking. But then we have, all right, here's where some of the wild cards really start to slip in on you. Friday, July 29th, expected the unveiling of Dwayne Johnson into the Shazam universe as Black Adam.
Garbage.
I really like The Rock. I am just over The Rock. Like, I don't.
Well,
he's trying to pull a Ryan Reynolds, right? I want to be Black Adam. Like, he's been trying to do this thing for so long. The same way
Reynolds looked at Black Adam, like, he's actually physically perfect for Black Adam. Like, that's great.
Oh, he is.
It's just, I don't expect it to be good.
Well, it's interesting, and I know nothing about this. Like, the whole Shazam universe and Black Adam and all that, I honestly know nothing about. So we've got this thing where he's like he's like some ultra powerful villain that actually gets fought by the Justice Society of America, made up of Pierce Brosnan as Dr.
Mhm.
Fate, Aldous Hodge as Hawkman.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You get Hawkman. Quintessa Swindell as Cyclone, and Noah Centineo as Atom Smasher.
Yeah, it's an interesting
this
one
has the
because,
potential to be crap.
well, Black Adam is like your ultimate anti-hero. Like, he does in the comics, he does good sometimes. Like, he's
Okay.
not necessarily a villain, but he's not a nice guy. Like, he's not a good hero. But him and Shazam, like, if you don't know them in the comics, they can actually go toe to toe with Superman because they're magic versus.
I knew that. I knew that introducing these guys into the universe does give Superman like some people who can actually fight with Superman now.
Mhm.
And DC needs
this,
that.
except they won't cross
DC
over. Like, which Superman? Shazam doesn't fit in the Snyderverse. So are you going to start like, that's DC's whole problem? Like,
No, but
it
that's
doesn't
what
work.
they did though, because you've got the Batarang. That's the same kind of
Yeah,
Batarang.
yeah. They did a few things in that movie to line it up. Like, they were trying to build their universe. It just tonally just doesn't work. Like, tell me,
Okay, I
go
know.
watch Man of Steel and then watch Shazam and tell me those are in the
I
same
know.
universe.
It's
Well,
Yeah.
nutty.
watch Peacemaker. None of it makes sense. None of their properties make sense
Suicide
together.
Squad, all the Harley
Yeah.
Quinns.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
like
know.
DC is
love
still a mess. They just can't get their shit together.
And then
None of
the
it
only
makes
thing,
sense.
like the only thing that you like, well, no, the only one that actually looks like it kind of makes sense, believe it or not, in the weirdest way, that actually makes sense when combined into the Man of Steel kind of Justice League thing that they've got going on, is the Joker from like
Yeah,
Joaquin Phoenix.
a little
Like
bit,
that,
kind of.
that makes sense. And time frame, and time frame for that, it makes sense when you talk about like what you've got with Justice League, where Robin is dead, and you've got the the Joker stuff on it. We know that something happened. Like, time wise, that could kind of be there. So that almost makes it. Anyway, oh God, we're not going to do that. Moving on. Let's see. Yeah, and then October 7th, we get a big jump. We don't really. Yeah, it doesn't look like we get much during the summer then. At least, let's see where the list goes here. But we've got Across the Spider-Verse Part 1.
Yeah, I'm stoked for that. That'll be dope.
Yeah, I really like that first one. This looks like it's going to be great. Again, like perfectly cast. Then Friday, November 4th, expected in theaters, The Flash. Moving on.
He was the best part of the Justice League, but I'm not excited for that movie.
I am, only
No,
because the Michael Keaton tie-in.
Yeah. Well, if it drops on
I think
HBO
that'll be
Max,
fun.
I'll watch it.
Yeah, but here's the thing, and this is all right. So we're gonna get into this one then. Here's the thing: DC has proven time and time again that they will bungle fuck anything that they're given like that. That Marvel has already kind of done well, and frankly, I know some of it got a little annoying, but the three Spider-Mans, the multi Spider-Mans meeting together right there was done like really well, and those
Yep.
three worked together, and it made sense for the movie, and I believed it. I mean, you pull the Michael Keaton Batman in, you get a little Batfleck in there. Fuck it, let's pull the George Clooney Batman in because we're fucking doing it. Like, it's just kind of. I don't think it's gonna wind up turning out well. I think they're gonna ham-fisted.
Yeah, I don't have the faith in
all
DC
over
that
the
I have
place.
in Marvel. Yeah, for sure.
Like, ugh. I mean, I'll see it. I'm going to see it in the theater, just because.
Plus, if you look at it, like, they had to play their hand early. They had to announce Keaton well before the movie was even closed out, right? Like
Yeah.
if Marvel barely introduced Patrick Stewart's voice, right? Like, we have no idea who the Illuminati is. Like, we don't know anything about that. They kept Toby and Andrew Garfield and Matthew Murdoch. They kept all those under wraps until it dropped. Like they won't. There's a difference between having to spill your bag to get people to show up versus holding on to it, and that's worrisome too. Like that kind of means they don't believe in the movie itself. They believe in the cameos that they're dropping to get people into the seats.
Exactly. They're going, look what's going to happen.
Yeah.
But you know what, though? I feel like that's like, though, but that's, anyway. So, expected in theaters then on Friday, November 11th, Wakanda Forever.
Like finally getting it? Like, I feel like I thought that already got pushed back till next year.
No, its production's been wrapping. Apparently, it's wrapping right now. Lupita Nyong'o's back, Letitia Wright, Daniel Gear, Michael B. Jordan. Oh no, they're talking about Michael B. Jordan reincarnated as Doctor Doom, the main villain, setting up for the introduction of the Fantastic Four. Was what we talked about. There's all sorts of rumors about this, but so far there's no news about it. I'm interested to see what they do with it. I like.
Well, because Namor was supposed to be introduced.
Namor was supposed to be the villain of Black Panther 2. Yeah.
Yeah. And Namor's supposedly part of the Illuminati too, but there's been little to no talk about that. But he is in the Illuminati, so I don't know. I'm. There's not one of those properties outside of the Wonder Pets that I'm not excited for. That's the only one that I'm like, whatever. That's
they did. Well, no, you said Wonder Pets, which and that's the Super Pets or whatever. But there was an announcement that they're doing a Wonder Twins movie.
Yeah, I saw that.
And I saw that, and I was like, "Come on, dude!" I was like, "You are fucking reaching so far into the bucket."
Maybe that'll be at the end of the list here. Well,
I don't think it has a date. So
no, but I do know I do have a date of December 16th for Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, where Jason Momoa will go up against Black Manta
again.
Yep.
God, I hope it's 95% CGI again. That'll be great.
Just get ready for more floaty hair.
Mm-hmm.
Then we've got in December coming to Disney Plus. This will be cool. The Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special. And it's a 40-minute story that Gunn has confirmed will bridge a narrative gap between Thor: Love and Thunder and Guardians 3.
I thought Guardians 3 was this year. Is it not this year? Is it 2023?
I don't know yet.
I don't think so. I think it's 2023.
Yeah, no, I don't think it is yet. And then the series premiere in 2022. That's all we have for this one for Ms. Marvel. And it's going to set up 2023's The Marvels, which will be interesting. And Teyonah Parris, Monica Rambeau, will return since she is confirmed as a bona fide member of the Marvel Universe. And then also sometime in 2022, that we don't have a date on this one yet, She-Hulk.
I've read some really interesting stuff about that recently. I know Ruffalo is really excited about the Hulk's turn in that show. And I love that. Tatiana Maslany, she's awesome. He just said that
I've read nothing about it. I know nothing about it.
He just said you're going to get but Ruffalo said you're going to get the Hulk gets to be kind of a version of himself that we've not seen before. So he's going to have a lot of scenes with Tatiana Maslany's She-Hulk. And she's fucking talented as shit. Like when they cast her, I was stoked. Yeah. Like if you watch Orphan Black, that she was amazing in that.
I haven't watched Orphan Black, but I've heard nothing. Everyone who's told me who's watched Orphan Black has specifically said that she is amazeballsy.
Yeah, she's fantastic. That's a show that probably ran a season or two too long. But especially in the beginning, fantastic. And she was great because she played like, I don't know, 8-9 different characters in that show. Like she's so good. Yeah.
And in expected to premiere on HBO at some point in 2022 for the something I didn't know we wanted. I hope that I get pleasantly surprised by it and find out that I needed it. Is Pennyworth season 3. I didn't even realize there were seasons 1 and 2.
I knew there was a first season. I didn't see anything of it. Who played Alfred Pennyworth?
Oh,
It was
okay. That's why I didn't watch it, because it was on Stars, and I've only watched a few things on Stars, and it's yeah. Let's see. I'm trying to find the
that
cast
actually,
for you on this
like,
one.
as far as DC goes, is almost the most interesting thing I think they could have ever made. Like, it's a character you don't know a lot about, who actually in the comics has a cool backstory. You know, like, he actually was a badass before he was the Wayne's butler. Like, he was British Secret Service and all kinds of shit. So
Yeah, no, I made, you know what, after reading this and listening to you, and actually honestly reading this, I've been
who plays him?
just assuming it's some. Let's see, looks like a guy named Jack Bannon, I think. I don't know. I have
Oh,
to,
that's not who I thought it was. I thought it was somebody else.
but it looks it looks kind of interesting. It says it's a little dystopian for it to be 60s, but this is how Alfred becomes Alfred,
Mm-hmm.
and you know, it looks kind of cool here. And then another one, it doesn't give us a date for it, but it looks like it's in development over at Netflix. Is Sandman, Neil Gaiman's
Yeah, they've been talking about that for a
series.
long time.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with that. I honestly don't ever think that's.
Is it a
I think it
series?
may
It's a
be done
series, right?
eventually. I
It's not a
believe
movie.
so. Yeah.
Because I know they tried to do Why the Last Man as a series, and that didn't get picked back up, but more for
Oh, that's a
contractual
bummer.
reasons. Well,
Oh,
so
really?
it was really interesting, yeah, because I guess they started filming it a long time ago, and I don't know if it was pre-pandemic or what, but they had a lot of names in that show. Like, they spent a lot of money on actors, and it actually wasn't
Yeah.
supposed to be too bad. But the issue is that by the time it came up for potential renewal, contracts were expiring for all these actors. And so to do a second season, they would have had to renegotiate a bunch of big contracts and big names. And just, it wasn't so much a performance thing, because I think it actually did kind of well. But it was just a logistics thing. Like, they just couldn't get people back because it took so long to actually produce. Because there are people
That's
that have
one.
been signed on for like 5 years.
See, that's one that I want to watch. Because I thought I saw a trailer or preview for it, and I know the general story for it. I never read the graphic novel, but that story sounds amazingly interesting.
Yeah, I think there's an advantage to having not read the graphic novel, if I'm not mistaken. They take a few liberties that some people that were big fans of the book weren't so fond of. But I've not read it either, so I really did want to watch it. But then when I heard it got shit canned and didn't necessarily
Right.
end, I don't know that I'm going to waste my time on it then.
Pete, when do you see is Blade then 2023?
Well, we're actually just about to dip into that, because The Marvels is expected in theaters on Friday, February 17th, 2023. Brie Larson comes back with Monica Rambeau and Kamala Khan, aka Miss Marvel. That's with the Disney Plus series. You know, we'll see. Well, that's people are talking about Zoe Ashton might portray the newest iteration of Rogue, making way for the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants, not the X-Men, to enter the MCU. So we'll see. Again,
That's so
that's
far off.
another
I
one.
wouldn't believe a single.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I also
February.
think Kevin pivots too, right? I think Kevin looks at. I think 2023, 2024, I think he has an idea of his trajectory, but I also think he pivots to what we want. I don't want to say that like somehow we're in charge of the MCU, but I think he looks at how these movies are received and then pivots accordingly to make sure that he's staying somewhat in line with what our requirements are. Again, dissimilar to the DC universe where there's no fucking rudder at all. They just fucking just go for it.
Mm-hmm.
And there's
get a
no
superhero. You get a dystopian superhero.
Yeah, he's fucking DC is fucking Oprah. Like, yeah, you're totally correct, 100% correct. But yeah, I think Kevin pivots. I think that's why there isn't an X-Men movie on the docket somewhere, because he doesn't know where it's going to fit.
A docket that we know about.
That's true.
I think it's on a whiteboard somewhere.
No, I wouldn't be surprised. No bullshit. I wouldn't be surprised if I agree with you, Andy, with the pivoting, but I wouldn't be surprised, and this is if Feige had gone to Disney and said, "This is what I'm going to do, and this is what you need to go out and figure out a way to do for me." And so I would say that Disney literally, they started working on Sony for Spider-Man years ago.
Totally.
You know, the Marvel movie started coming out, Sony saw what it was, and that's when it worked. I believe they bought 20th Century Fox Pictures not because I would be willing to bet they bought it specifically for the X-Men.
Totally.
To bring that back in house. I don't think, like, don't get me wrong, there's amazing movies in that collection. And they have actually, if you go through Disney Plus, they're actually releasing a lot of them more family friendly, and even some that are a little, you know, on the goofy side. Oh God, I gotta write that down because that'll be okay. I think I wouldn't be surprised if Feige actually has this all planned out already and knows how he wants to do this. He's finding the right people to write the right stories. He's already adapted some of it. I think he figured it out once Disney gave him his timeline of, okay, we're going to acquire Fox by this date, because the mouse is fucking powerful in Hollywood, bro.
Totally.
Like, straight up. Like, when you look at who they bought and what they bought and blah, 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 I wouldn't be surprised if he already knows how it's going to slide in and fit in. And there is actually, like, we've got a loose sketch of what this phase looks like, but all of a sudden they're going to go, oh, by the way, you get a mutant, you get a mutant, you get a mutant, you get a mutant, everybody gets a mutant. And all of a sudden he's like Oprah again, and they just start not slapping them in there, but these come in there at logical points and they make sense. I don't think it's going to be like another 5 or 6 years before we see it.
No, yeah.
Think about how I mean, let's be real. There were a couple of years in between them in some cases, or at least a year to some point, but they cranked out those Spider-Man movies, you know, and capitalized on young Tom Holland, right? You know, right now while he's young. But I'm prattling on because on May the 5th, now we get Guardians Volume 3.
Gotcha.
It's an interesting movie because it's going to be the last time we get to see this crew together, because Batista says he will not do Drax after this volume.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's kind of done with it. So that'll be interesting to see what happens there. I'm totally interested for it. That's when there's too much conjecture as to what's going to go on, and we don't know how much they're actually going to be in Thor: Love and Thunder.
Mm-hmm.
I have a feeling they're going to be in a little bit in the beginning, but I could see them leaving after like Act 1, and that's it. Like, I don't, maybe they might be pivotal in some other way, but I don't think they're going to be in a bulk of the movie.
I don't think so either. I don't think so either. They have their own problems right now. They need to go find Gamora, and I don't think. I mean, I could actually see, knowing the way that Taika works, I could see there being a correlation between Quill looking for Gamora and Thor and Jane kind of getting back on track. Like, I could see those things running throughout the movie together too. Like, I could actually see it being a bit of both. But I don't know. I wouldn't
I
expect
could
it.
argue.
I think it'll lean into the Thor stuff more.
I could argue either way.
Hmm.
I could see it as a Captain America and Winter Soldier, which I mean that was a Captain America movie, but let's be honest, there was a lot of other characters in that movie where it was almost an Avengers movie, really, more than anything else. Um, so I could see the Guardians playing a heavy um, role in the movie. But I also wouldn't be surprised if they showed up in the first,
Yeah, they
45
literally
minutes of the
drop
movie,
him
and
off and
then
take off. Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind
yeah,
of my thing. Like I think that's I I think, and not that the other, two Thor movies weren't phenomenal, or they were what they were. Um, but I really now Thor for me is like identify with Taika Waititi, just like
For sure.
James
For sure.
Gunn is the Guardians,
Yeah.
and unless the two of them collaborated a little bit, I don't think
Oh,
it's going to be.
I actually fully believe that they did. I haven't seen any confirmation of that, but I really think that they did, and I
That
would
would be
actually
cool though.
imagine they would work together well.
If they put their heads together, then honestly, I would be okay with a Guardians heavy kind of
Well,
thing.
to a
Maybe they
degree, they
peel
already
off one
have.
character.
Yeah, because with Endgame, it was like all of the big writers working together because they had to
Yeah.
get all their
Oh,
characters right, right? Like the way Taika writes Thor, they wanted to keep that going, and they didn't want to just hand that off to anybody. So Taika worked on Thor's parts, and James Gunn worked on the Guardians parts of that film. And granted, for the Guardians, they had a smaller part; they really weren't there until the end. But for anything that did involve them, like the their directors were heavily involved.
cool.
Yeah.
And then here we go. Already into middle of 2023. DC drops another big ass turd with Shazam: Fury of the Gods.
garbage.
And this is where Dwayne Johnson, then The Rock,
Well, yeah,
comes
that'll
in
be
as Black Adam.
yeah.
All right, we covered that already, basically. Sweet. In development at Marvel right now, but still slated for 2023. It's a tentative release window, but Disney also did announce a slew of release dates into 2024. Deadpool 3
Mm-hmm.
being worked on. Yes. July 28th, 2023. Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. That's filming right now in San Francisco. Like
Is it?
That's going to be,
yeah.
That's going to be a huge film, I think.
Yeah, I think it's going to be as maybe not quite as big, but close to as big as Strange.
Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah,
I think so too. I think they'll be on par with each other.
Mm-hmm.
I think those two films are going to tie so close together. It'll be
well,
or
maybe
one
not.
will open a loop and one will close one, or something like
well,
that.
no,
Like,
I think that's part of the thing is that it's what they're talking about is the it's going to be the ramifications of Hope Van Dyne returning from the quantum realm.
Mm-hmm.
And
so Pete, real quick in your list. So we have Multiverse coming out in a month. Then we have Moon Knight, which we don't know where that exists in the timeline, to be fair.
Right.
And then we have what properties are between those two, between Multiverse of Madness and Quantumania? You have the list in front of you.
We just talked about them all, you goofball.
I know, but just Marvel specifically.
Guardians 3, The Marvels, She-Hulk, Ms. Marvel, Guardians Holiday Special, Wakanda Forever.
So okay, so Wakanda Forever is probably in between
Thor:
those two
Love and Thunder.
Okay, Love and Thunder too. But Love and Thunder is off-world, so that could not be participating in Earth-based stuff. I'm thinking out loud, like what properties are really Earth-based stuff between those two titles. Wakanda Forever, okay, Moon Knight, sure, but we don't know where that takes place in the timeline, because that could have already taken place in the timeline. The Marvels, we don't know. I mean, America, whatever her name is, we don't know. She's a multiverse person, so we don't know even where that takes place technically. So really, those two properties, and then Love and Thunder and Wakanda Forever, those are only two other major Marvel properties that are in between Multiverse of Madness and Quantumania.
Put the vape pen down.
I'm gonna take it back out.
You have derailed yourself, and trained CIA operatives could not follow what you're talking about right now down a crowded street.
I'm just
completely
saying,
lost me.
It's just there's not a lot of properties that can explore. Shut up! Don't fucking mute me. Those are the only two properties that tie together.
Yeah, I see that. That makes sense. Long way to get there. Loki season 2 is in pre-production, which is very interesting that they're saying in pre-production, because I really felt like, and from what we've heard back when Loki came out, and I know like the 24-hour news cycle is, it is what it is, but I always thought and felt like that Loki, the end of that first season there, really felt like there was already more in the can, that it felt more than just a cliffhanger. Like, it felt like we're going to release this, but then we have to stop because of X, Y, or Z. I forgot. We talked about it once, and it's been so long since I watched Loki. It made sense, like, why we were saying they needed to stop. Oh,
the end
because
the end of season 1 felt like they already had season 2 written.
Exactly, like completely. But they're saying that season production on season 2 may not begin until 2023. I don't know. We'll see. But I love the fact that we know that there is for sure going to be another season of Loki, for sure. That it's not going to be like a movie. They're not going to tease him into anything. It's not going to be a Loki end. Like it's going to be that continued, which everyone is awaiting.
That goes back to my whole Kevin listens to the world and sees what the reaction to the properties are, right? So maybe he has a season 2 in his head, but depending on what the readout from Multiverse of Madness is when it's finally done, might change the trajectory of Loki too, right? So I think he certainly has a whiteboard. I think Kevin's got a whiteboard in his office. He's got one on this wall that has this is what I think, and then he's got a whiteboard over here that's like, this is what it could be. A whiteboard over here is like, this is also what it could be, right? So I think he's prepared for all of the different things that could happen, because I mean, there's no way that Multiverse of Madness was clearly it wasn't fully in the can when Loki was done. I mean, that wasn't even close. I don't even know if it was filming when Loki was already on the air, right? So there could be a lot of different avenues that he could go depending on how everything else works out.
Interesting. I'm very curious to see how they actually, or if they tie any of that into the greater, or how, because Marvel has always shown that they're going to tie stuff in that way, how they tie Loki into Multiverse of Madness and the opening of different realities and timelines and doors. Like, that's.
Don't you think they have to?
I don't know.
I mean, clearly it's part of Quantumania. I mean, 100% it's part of it.
Well,
how could it not be?
Yes and no. It's very easy to just say what's happening in that universe is happening in all those other timelines as well.
Okay, and that's
you're
fair.
not, because here's the thing, you're not ripping holes
Yep.
into alternate timelines. You're technically ripping them into another existences and dimensions. They don't call them
And,
timelines or talk about them that way because they don't have the stone. So it's a whole, it's again, and it's that again, but it just has to go with, we don't know. Multiverse of Madness, yes, I do believe there is going to be some tie-in. There has to be. I will agree with you on that to a degree. There doesn't necessarily. It could still be its own thing, because whatever happens in Multiverse of Madness could be happening in our Doctor Strange universe,
yep.
and then
Yep.
it could be in, Earth whatever's universe. So, we'll see, because
It,
currently filming for a 2022 release on HBO Max is the Batgirl television show. See how I shifted gears there?
before you shift all the way out, to be fair, the TVA, we don't know. We don't know when that exists. That could be pre everything. It doesn't exist in our timeline, so it could be pre all of the Marvel properties, right? It could be 100 years ago. There's no reason to think that it exists in our same timeline.
Oh, yes, there is.
How?
If it is, here you go. And I haven't read this fan theory anywhere. I could have just had an original thought. From the Eternals, that one dude, what's his bucket? The big red guy. I want to say Abhishek or whatever his name is.
Yeah.
Absalom.
Abensner. It's not him, but yes, Asher.
Yeah. Right.
Andy. Okay.
What if he is the person behind the curtain, the big giant thing that eats things that they go through? And what all the TVA does is make sure that things stay in line to build up the different planets so they can be seeded, so that these things can be born from the planets. And that's part of their creation, and how that works through like that. In the same way that they created the Eternals and the weird dog things, to take over, and there you go. But it's, hey, look, I got my QAnon
pass over there.
red. I got my QAnon like red fucking string is out up against the wall, and I'm tying stuff together. I'm Charlie Day right now with the fucking board.
I hear you. I that is I've never heard that before. It is not an unplausible thought. 100%. You're that could be a thing for sure, because we have no idea. There's no Marvel property that ties a TVA into somewhere inside of our universe. We just know it exists. We have no idea where and when. No idea. It could be in the Sony universe. It could be part of the X-Men universe. We have no idea. What character besides Loki, who we already know exists between other universes, it could be anything.
True. We do know when is filming for a 2022 release on HBO Max is Batgirl. It's going to be a TV series. And then there's actually a Batgirl movie that is in development at Warner Brothers. But yeah, at some point this year, we're slated to get a Batgirl TV series on HBO Max. It should be interesting.
No, it shouldn't.
In development right now at HBO Max is also a Black Canary movie.
Why?
It's Birds of Prey spinoff. Okay. Oh, here we go. Currently filming for a 2022 release on Disney Plus. Let's see. Oh, interesting. Okay.
Is it?
Secret Invasion is currently filming for a 2022 release. That's going to be
2023 release, right?
No, they're saying 2022.
Mhm.
That's what I thought too. But you know what though? If they film that in 2022, it's only 13 episodes. They, depending on what they have to do with it, that could release sometime, and they're just waiting to see when they can plug it in
Yep.
and where it fits. And they don't want to tease too much yet.
Mhm.
Yep.
I think Disney, there's some planning cagey ass motherfuckers. But yeah, it's all about the
Yeah.
scrolls have been on Earth affecting things for much longer, and then we know and think, and there's little rogue groups of them, and so Nick Fury and the Skrulls up in space are gonna kind of wreck some shop or do something there.
COVID really fucked some shit up, right? Because I think a lot of this stuff, I think we lost a year, at least 12 months of content because of this.
Oh, okay. So, and we were talking about this earlier. Armor Wars is in pre-production at Disney Plus, and that's Don Cheadle, and it's going to be a direct lead out from Falcon and Winter Soldier. You know, they say some casting is actually already, or some filming may have already started on that. But there's that's going to be awesome. I don't give a shit. Don Cheadle, more him. I love him and everything he does, and I love that character. Again, why a live action version of Static Shock, the cartoon, DC character and comic? Michael B. Jordan is producing. I get this, and maybe I don't want to sound, I'm going to sound all right wingy with this, but there is a representation factor to this one. Michael B. Jordan's producing it, and Randy McKinnon is also writing the screenplay, but then again, he's also the one that was handling the screenplay for the new upcoming Lost Boys redo. But Static Shock, he's a black. He was an early. I remember this guy from the '90s and stuff. He's a black superhero. So I'm down for that. I don't know much about it. So I'm skeptical to say, like, if it's any good. I don't remember Static Shock at all. And in pre-production, Blade. Will Wesley Snipes make a cameo? Who knows? Maybe everybody's going to make a cameo for the next 10 years in Multiverse of Madness. Stargirl Season 3 is in development. Have you heard anything about that?
I know it's actually supposed to be pretty decent.
Need to take a look at it.
It's like Luke Wilson, and then it also covers the Justice Society of America. But I've never watched an episode. I've heard pretty decent things about it though.
And then notably, it looks like we're getting towards the end of the list here, so we're just going to start getting some in development stuff. So some of this we're already going to know about, but not a lot of details yet about the Fantastic Four. And Feige has confirmed that it is under development or in development under director John Watts' Spider-Man Far From Home, Homecoming, and No Way Home. That's very good news. Although that does signal that there's a possibility that, unlike what I had previously possibly predicted or, said Sony was smart for, that Spider-Man will be taking a long hiatus from the Marvel universe here. Because maybe what they're going to do is, I didn't even think about this. Maybe this was part of the deal that Marvel did, is they're going to bring him back, like we always kind of said, to being your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. And then what Disney then in turn did was said, okay, well, I'll tell you what, those Netflix properties, we'll let you have free reign of those, because that then gives you Hell's Kitchen and the rest of the city, and that then lets Daredevil and the Kingpin. And so now you've got Spider-Man fighting Kingpin, which, aside from Daredevil, Kingpin was also Spider-Man's arch nemesis for a long time, and it gives you the freedom to introduce the other guy. So we could very well see them in that way, like we've been expecting to see Daredevil in the MCU. But that also makes sense, because from the jump, the MCU has always been focused on global, universal, and galactic threats. And yes, it was a threat to the Earth, but Thanos was trying to destroy the entire universe. So, it's still like a big, big threat. Whereas I like this idea of paring the Spider-Man down. I hope Sony doesn't fuck it up. But they no. Also in development over there at Warner Brothers, interesting is Zatanna or Zatanna, depending on how you want to pronounce it.
What's that?
She's another, I don't want to say minor DC character, but she is in the Justice League. She's more aligned, or you'll see her. Oh, here you go. You want to see a little bit of Zatanna? Go watch any of the Constantine animated films on HBO Max in the DC collection. They're really, really good, actually.
Are they?
They're really good. Yeah,
I
and
love
if you liked Hellblazer and you love Constantine, if you are more a fan of the show than the Keanu Reeves movie, you'll dig the cartoons. It's much closer to the Hellblazer comics than the movie with Keanu Reeves was. I tend to take that movie with Keanu Reeves as like it was a one shot with this is a take on the character, because what they've done in the animated stuff that they've done and the TV show to some degree is more in line with what those comics were originally like. And they're a lot more fun to me. I loved that show. That show was on, and I was actually sad that show got canceled. Constantine is one of my, I don't want to say favorite DC properties, but just a great character with a lot of fun. I love that shit. Though I love the idea like that the all that shit is happening on behind us, and angels and demons walk around among us. It's such a cool idea and concept that I just gravitated towards it. Anyway, you were saying, Andy.
No, I dig it. I think I watched a couple episodes of the series. I don't think I ever, and it was always in the background. Like I never sat down and watched it. It was like it was on when I saw it. So maybe I'll give it a shot. But in interviews with Keanu, one of the characters he says he wished he could play again is Constantine. Because I didn't read any of the. I have no previous knowledge of Constantine in the comic. I never read him. I know nothing about him. So I am watching Constantine for what it is. Just Keanu Reeves portraying
Kevin
this
fall
character.
asleep.
Oh, I'm not falling asleep. I'm just not hiding my boredom.
Wow. He hasn't talked like in
All
20
right.
minutes. I actually thought about it a couple minutes ago. Go ahead, Pete. Go ahead.
All right, then.
Rock us off this topic.
I mean, we've got we got you've got Harley Quinn season 3 in production. Ironheart is in development at Disney Plus. We were talking about that earlier. That'll be interesting to see what they do there. Blue Beetle is in pre-production for a 2023 release on HBO Max, and that supposedly is going to have Zolo Maridueña as Jamie
Sure,
Reyes,
say that again.
Blue Beetle. That's what's his bucket from Cobra Kai? Miguel from Cobra Kai.
Yeah.
Here we go. This is interesting. Well, Seth Grahame-Smith, who produced the Lego Batman movie, Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, and Mark Guggenheim, the guys behind Arrow and DC's Legends of Tomorrow, are going to be the producers on an untitled Green Lantern series that's in development at HBO Max. So we'll see what happens there.
Silk. Wait. Hold on. I don't know if you guys are readers or not, but Seth Grahame-Smith, he wrote a book called On Holy Night, which is about the three wise men and the birth of Christ, and how it's a totally different interpretation of how that happened. I highly recommend picking up that book and reading it. It is such an amazing book. I wish they made a movie about that, because that was awesome. Sorry, Seth Grahame-Smith, If you ever watched this, awesome book. Keep it up. Go ahead.
All right. Silk is in development at Sony. That's another Spider-Man bad guy. Let's see. Ooh, there's going to be an untitled.
What about Kraven the Hunter?
Mm-hmm.
We already have we already have like actors like associated.
Aaron
with
Taylor Johnson.
Maybe we'll
Russell Crowe.
Something on here. There's an Untitled Boys spin-off in development.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not surprised if they flood that with characters. They're going to have to start killing people off again quickly, or spin some guys out on a separate show. I Am Groot is in development at Disney Plus. We'll see what happens there. Let's see. Wonder Woman 3 is in development. No shocker there. There is an untitled Superman project with Ta-Nehisi Coates writing the reboot so far, produced by JJ. Early development, no confirmed actors or anything like that. Echo is in development.
Disney Plus, right?
Here.
Yeah.
That's I've never.
That's the spinoff from Hawkeye.
Okay, that's what that's going to be. That's because they've got it. That her comic book debut was in 99 with Daredevil.
Yes, correct.
Well, she's actually.
Oh yeah,
Hawkeye.
That's
she's
right.
a major
she's
character
in Hawkeye. Maya Lopez. Okay, I didn't know that. I haven't finished that yet. And cool. There's an untitled Wakanda series that they're working on at Disney Plus.
Yeah, that was supposed to be led by Denai Guerrero.
Yeah, and then the big one. This is the one that everyone's been kind of waiting to know, but it's in pre-production apparently. Anthony Mackie, Captain America 4.
Yep.
That's the end of that list. That took us deep there. But what was that one we were just talking about?
There's a Kraven. There's a Kraven. I don't know what. Is it a Kraven movie, Kevin, or is it?
Yeah, it's going to be a movie. Kraven the Hunter. Aaron Taylor Johnson is cast as Kraven. They cast his brother as it's like the doofy stoner kid from the White Lotus show. Plays his brother. And then Russell Crowe.
Is it Russell?
He's an unnamed character so far.
Interesting. I'm just getting. Let's see. They're talking about. They're talking about a release date of January 13th, 2023.
That's interesting. I don't think they've started filming yet, but maybe they have.
Oh, interesting. So here's an interesting one. It's Kraven the Hunter movie is casting Alessandro Nivolo as the bad guy. Isn't Kraven a bad guy?
Yep.
He is a bad guy, yes.
He's the one that killed Spider-Man in the comics.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's kind of one of the only Spider-Man comics I've read. That's why I was a little surprised that there's going to be a villain in a villain's movie.
Well, I mean, no one's a villain in their own story, right?
DC's gonna
story
fuck
of Peter's life.
DC mumbling over here like a fucking. Anyway,
it'd be cool though.
Sony.
It'd be cool though. So we talked about Lost. Yeah.
Let's hit some Lost in. Okay, look at this. That's 11:45, Kevin. You might actually get to bed at a decent.
No, I won't. We've started talking about a goddamn list that we weren't prepared for an hour and a half.
Pete, I think Kevin's mad at you.
We got Pete-ified, man.
We got some cool theories out of him too, though.
Oh,
yeah. It'll be fun to edit that into something that is usable.
Resembles coherence.
Yeah.
Episodes will be 45 minutes tops.
Yeah, we would talk for 3 hours. It'll be a 45-minute episode.
You know what we could do? Actually,
Let's talk about Lost before I punch you in the dick.
No, I'm gonna propose this. I'm gonna throw it out there.
Kevin, you got good aim.
What if because we'll have both Andrews. Well, will we have you next week? No, next week. Well, never mind then. I thought the four of us would wind up. I thought that was going to be in syncopation, and then I could say we could just do an all Lost episode and just cover 6 episodes of Lost next week.
No, next week I'm with my lady.
Forever, my lady. This is what Andrew's listening to right now, probably. Well, no, then let's. Kevin, I'm happy to do whatever you want.
I know. A little roofie, a little alcohol, and you'll do whatever Daddy needs. You might.
I did have one other thing to talk about tonight that I completely forgot about when we were going over my stuff. It'll be really quick, but on HBO Max, we have the 19. I watched this. It's from 1984. I had very fond memories of this movie. The movie Ice Pirates.
I remember that movie existing. I don't remember the movie itself, but I remember
it does not hold up.
Yeah, I believe that.
Like, it is straight cheese ball. So Robert Urich and it's the cast of characters, pirates. There's this whole thing with like water is like currency, and you've got, there's this planet that is full of water, and if these pirates can get it and like, start, it's fucking so stupid. It is quintessentially early 80s. It is like an hour and 24 minutes. It's a fun, if you could go and watch it, knowing you're just going to watch an early 80s sci-fi kind of flick starring Robert Urich.
That's all you got to say, man, is Robert Urich. If you remember Robert Urich, he was like the poor man's Tom
Spencer for Hire.
Like,
exactly. Exactly.
Like he wasn't a big deal. Like they tried to make him a big deal, and he was not a big deal.
And it just, like, there's a whole scene at the end where they're like time, not necessarily time travel, but they've got to make it through this little barrier where there's this whole time distortion to get to this, like, I forget what it is, whether it's the 12th or the 7th world or some shit. It's just so bad. But if you go into it knowing that's what you're watching and can laugh at it, it is actually funny that way. And it is a great specimen of like that early mid 80s B movie style of sci-fi it's just bad. It's just bad.
I just put it on my laptop here, and like even like the credits are like clearly they're
so bad.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Like, again,
it's awesomely bad.
Yeah, it was one of those that, like, I remember I had like a some sort of a I don't know why, but some sort of an emotional attachment to it as a kid. I think it was one of those movies probably that I only saw twice, so that it was like, oh yeah, that movie is fucking badass. And it was 84, so I probably saw it on TV when I was like, 84, so I would have been 7. I probably didn't see it until I was 10 or 11. And to a 10, 11-year-old for a movie from the 80s, oh yeah, this is totally like in that time frame, like, right down the line there. That would have been awesome. But yeah, it's fun to watch if you're a fan of the genre, or you just want to laugh at something that's like it's just horrible from the 80s. Otherwise, you can go ahead and skip it. No reason to watch it whatsoever.
Just so like this podcast.
Exactly. Ladies and gentlemen, that will be all from us for this episode. I would just like to ask you guys, what have you learned tonight?
I learned that a shit ton of movies are coming out, and I care about so few of them.
Yes, and that was only superhero movies.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's I learned that as well. Actually, going through that list, I learned. Oh, that's the one I got to track down with Molly Ringwald. Space Hunter: Adventures in the Forbidden Zone. Oh yeah, no, it's 1983 sci-fi movie. There, it's
Cherry
it does,
3000, dude. You need to find yourself some Cherry 3000.
Oh, Cherry 3000 is the shit. I've seen that. I love that movie.
Mm-hmm.
I love these old movies. The Ice Pirate is the one that I know. Well, like, okay, so Space Hunter, even though it sounds goofy, I've seen that several times since my initial watching. Anyway, I'm trying to wrap us up here. I learned that I am very, very good at derailing things in
Don't
for a
get a job as a train
long
conductor.
period of time. We went through this, and the sad part was I didn't look at how long that list was, and it was 46 fucking like entries, and I was like, wow.
No, you actually said it was 46 before you started.
Oh, did I?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Fuck me sideways.
I'd rather not.
Andy, what did you learn?
I learned that I want to see anything that Kevin wants to see. I think that my desire just.
So that has been our show. I like the mute button with you. I know what I said last time, but that was just fun. God, that was fun.
Can't get Pete a mute button at 1 a.m.
No,
Kevin.
Yeah, it's 4 a.m. for Kevin.
Here?
So,
I'm just. I was just saying that Kevin. Anything Kevin's told me to watch.
He wants to go to sleep. Wash his balls next week.
Okay, I'll bring the palm olive.
There you go. Right.
No, so far anything Kevin suggested you to watch has wound up being pretty good.
Yeah, it's been great. And the stuff that he's like, I don't want to see it. I'm like, I'm like, I want to go like Batman. I'm like, shit, Kevin might have been right. That was $42 that I spent.
I will see it. I'm probably going to go see it tomorrow. So and I won't fall asleep. Although that is like we were talking, that was all pre-show though that we talked about that.
You say all pre-show, but this was one of the shortest pre-shows we've ever had.
Yeah, it was. Oh god, This is going to be a honking episode. Yeah, that's with that, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to call it quits. Say goodnight. Listen, watch if you want, or if you're watching now, or if you're listening. It's so late. I got
smooth transition, buddy. Smooth out.
All of the things.
Good night. Or good afternoon, or
good morning, peace. Good evening, good night. What's up, guys?
Not much, man. Not much.
I need a piece of paper.
So Pete de-headphoned himself.
Yeah, he does that.
I don't want to say you didn't miss anything, Kevin, because I still think you should see it. But it's certainly not worth a 45-minute drive.
Yeah. We'll talk about it more when we record, but for me, it's just you can't. I don't know. It feels like you can't do anything truly original with a Batman movie anymore without doing something completely different.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. It was fine, but I'm too old to go see a movie that late. That's that long after a full day's worth of work. I fell asleep at least twice.
That was another thing too. When they announced that it was 3 hours long, I was like, I don't know about that shit.
My son thought it was okay. He enjoyed it. He didn't fall asleep at all. I fell asleep like twice. I have to rewatch it just so I understand what happened. Stupid.
Yeah.
Did you see it, Pete?
No, I did not get a chance to see it. And, I mean, Andy, you can go at it I'm not afraid of spoilers. They don't bother me for stuff like this. I am probably going to try and see it this week at some point because I do actually want to see it in the theater. But it is like you guys were just saying, 3 fucking hours of a movie, which just like, whew, that's
It
a
was a
chunk
lot.
of time.
It was a lot.
For
It
theater.
was a lot. So it started. Movie time was 6:30. After previews, it was almost 7, and then we didn't get out of the theater till like 10:15, 10:30. And I know I sound like an old man, but I was done. I was toast. There was no moss, and I mean, I clearly I said I fell asleep at least twice. Like, there's no spoilers because I am as confused as I was going into the. I have nothing to share because I enjoyed what I saw, but the dots are not connected for me because I have to rewatch it so I can see the parts that I fell asleep in.
And now, Deep Thoughts by Andy.
Oh no, that pillow has got to be fucking thrilling visuals.
Oh, it's hot. You have no idea what's happened on that pillow.
I don't want to know.
Yeah, you don't have a black light in there, do you?
God, no, please, God, no. No. That'd be a very bad thing.
CSI Nightmare in there.
Right.
Like,
oh my God, Benson and Stabler would go ape shit in your house. Guardians
of the Galaxy all over again. Jackson Pollock in this bitch.